Hey guys, Luke with Logical Lacrosse here, and for this video I'm going to be going over all the games that occurred for our first week of NCAA Lacrosse. So let's get started. So our first game is Detroit Mercy hosting Jacksonville. I really didn't know what to think of this game. I was wrong. I thought Jacksonville would win, but they ended up missing their face-off guy that left last year more than I thought they would. So the final score was Detroit Mercy 9 and Jacksonville 8. So a great win for Detroit Mercy to kick off the year. Statistically, it was a little surprising. Jacksonville actually did better in some of the statistics. You could tell they got 48 shots compared to the Titans 39. Jacksonville, both teams actually had a lot of turnovers. Jacksonville 19, Detroit Mercy 22. So some week one jitters, not in full season form yet. Cause turnovers, Jacksonville 12, Detroit Mercy at 8. So Jacksonville's kind of been winning the stats so far, but what really I think killed them was Detroit Mercy won the face-off battle 15-6. So I think it helps Detroit Mercy. They get a goal, then they win the face-off, and then they can get another goal, and they can kind of keep piling on. So I think that really hurt Jacksonville in their opener. Both teams had 7 man-up opportunities. I couldn't believe that when I read that. So 14 total penalties total, and both of those coaching staffs are going to want to get that cleaned up. That is a ridiculous amount. I couldn't find how many each one converted on, but either way, if you're going to make a habit of getting 7 penalties a game, you're going to lose some games you probably should win. Ground balls, this is one where Detroit Mercy also won. They won this statistic 34-29, and I think those extra few ground ball victories probably made the difference for them getting the ball a little bit more, which led to them getting that 1-goal victory. So that kind of sums up the statistics. I'll go over my game stars. For Detroit Mercy, I have Seth Mendel. He had 3 goals and 1 assist. He had a good game, so congratulations to him. And Alex Jarzembowski, excuse me if I butchered that, but he had 2 goals, so congratulations to Alex as well. For Jacksonville, their 2 stars was Bo Hunter. He had 3 goals, and Jack Pucci, he led his team with 3 assists. But I think the story of the game is Jacksonville misses their old Fogo. This new one's going to have to step up. I'll get some more up on about it on the site. But that'll sum up this game, so I guess we'll move on to the next. So next game, this one was a little shocking. I didn't watch it. I was watching the Bonaventure game. But Cleveland State at Ohio State. Now this was probably one of the better D1 games that occurred this Saturday. OSU ended up winning 12-9. But it was a tough game. It was close for a while. I believe Cleveland State was winning at one point, or if they weren't, they were only down by 1. I saw 5-4 at one point. Remember when I kept flipping through the scores whenever there was a break in the other games I was watching. Shots, Cleveland State won this battle 37-30. Ground balls, they also won 29-27. Ohio State's goalie is really the guy that stepped up, Josh Kirsten. He had 16 saves compared to Cleveland State getting 10. And the man up, Ohio State was 0 for 4. And they're going to want to get that cleaned up. Nick Myers is going to hate that. So they're going to really work on that in practice this week, I'm guessing. Cleveland State went 50%, 3 for 6. Now, this actually made the difference in the game. You'd think getting 3 of your man-up opportunities and converting off of those is pretty good. But if they would have converted on those other 3 as well and made it 100%, the game would have been tied 12-12. And overtime, you never know what happens. So, I mean, it's a whole new game. I mean, it's really hard to score off of 6 man-ups, but I mean, that's ultimately what made the difference in the game for the Vikings. So we'll go into the stars of the game. We'll start with Ohio State. Jack Jasinski, he led the team in assists with 2. Trey LeClaire had 3 goals. Josh Kirsten, I mentioned him earlier, 16 saves. What an outstanding day. I don't think his defense helped him out too much, but don't quote me on that. I'll watch some highlights later and get some more stuff about that on my site. But still having to make 16 saves is not good. You don't want your goalie having to make that many saves. I mean, good for him, though. That's a really good game. And for Cleveland State, 3 players had 3 goals. So they were literally the whole offense, 100% of the scoring output. And these were my 3 stars for Cleveland State with Ryan Hay, Tristan Copeland, and Gabe Reno. So congratulations to those 3. I know they're disappointed they lost, but I think Cleveland State is going to be tough this year. They've been growing since they've filled a varsity program. So I expect them to sneak up on at least one team that won't be expected. They did it to Air Force last year. I was at that game on the sidelines, and they beat us 8-7. We were all pretty shocked. So I expect Cleveland State to do that again this year. They have a very good coaching staff, and they are going to challenge them guys. So next game, a lot of people thought this was going to be the game of the week for the Division I slate. I was going to watch this game. The reason I didn't was it got moved to Houba Hall, and I'm talking about the Villanova versus Penn State game. Now, Penn State, I admittedly was a little skeptical of their number 8 ranking in one of the polls. Thought that might be a little too high, but there's really nothing I can say to complain about Penn State or find anything to nitpick. They won the game 17-7. They just dominated Villanova, who was a very good opening opponent. I mean, that Villanova's no slouch. Penn State, they basically won every battle. They won in the shots department, 49-48. So a lot of shots in that game. So the fact that Villanova only got 7 is points to good defense and goalie play by Colby Knies. Turnovers, Villanova only had 9. That's pretty good. Penn State had 11. They're going to want to get that down under 10. Anything above in the double digits is coaches are not going to like that. They're going to look to clean that up. I think a big thing that really helped Penn State's offense, Penn State's always had a good offense under Tambroni, but they won the face-off battle 17-10, so they could score, get a face-off win, and then go score down again. I think that really tired out the Villanova D. Obviously, we couldn't see the game, but that's just my assumptions with that occurring and the amount of points they put up. Ground balls. Villanova did win the ground balls battle 32-28, which is a little shocking, especially since Penn State won in the face-offs. So Penn State's going to want to get a little more ground balls in the future. They got Yale coming up soon, and I think Yale is when we're going to really see how good Penn State is. But this was a great opener for Penn State. I mean, I really can't find anything bad to say about them. I question the defense. I mean, for the first game, I really can't question the defense for now. My Penn State stars of the game were Grant Amont, and he had a monster game, 3 goals and 7 assists. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. And this guy didn't even play last year. So congratulations to him on a healthy recovery and making a huge difference in his first game back. TJ Malone had 3 goals, and Dylan Foltz also had a hat trick. So those are my 3 stars for Penn State. Villanova, it was a little tougher to find my stars. I picked Jimmy Gabrielson. He led the team with 2 goals, and Joey Fricaro, he had 1 goal but 3 ground balls. So those are the stars for Villanova. Villanova is playing Yale next week, so it does not get any easier. In fact, I'd say it gets harder. So they're going to have to really batten down the hatches for this week of practice. I think they just need to take it one game at a time. It's going to be a tough start, I think, for them. But they can definitely get better and make an impact in the Big East and get to the NCAA that way. Congratulations to Penn State on a huge win. The next game on the list is Lafayette Leopards at the Rutgers Scarlet Knight. Rutgers, they have a good team. They hired Eric Saramet, the former head coach of Air Force, as their offensive coordinator. So I really have high hopes for Rutgers. I know Eric pretty well, and he's an elite coach. He will be a head coach again at the D1 level in probably 1 or 2 years. So I think he's going to make a huge difference. If you read my projections, you'll see Rutgers is second in the Big Ten. I think they're going to upset some teams. But for this game, they won 14-8, which was a little closer than I expected. They kind of pulled away in the fourth quarter when you look at the box score. Rutgers had 44 shots compared to Lafayette's 30. Turnovers, Lafayette had 13. Rutgers had 15, which is too much for both teams. But Rutgers having 15, that's kind of sloppy. They're going to want to bring that down. Like I said in an earlier game, you want about under double digits. Face-offs, this is what killed Lafayette and kind of shows the disparity between both teams. They had 3 face-off wins compared to Rutgers' 23. I mean, Rutgers dominated on the face-off. I mean, it's pretty hard. Your defense is going to get tired out. And I read that's kind of what happened. I watched the highlights of the game, and I even remember the announcer in the highlights saying, Lafayette looked tired at the end of the game. That's kind of what I think will allow Rutgers to pull the game open. Ground balls, same thing. Rutgers 44, Lafayette 22. You're not going to win when the other team basically doubles you on your ground balls. That's just going to be really tough to overcome. My stars of the game for Rutgers, Adam, I'm sorry I'm about to butcher your last name, but Adam Charlemagne's. He was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year a couple years ago. He got injured. He didn't play last year, but he had 4 goals and 1 assist and 3 ground balls, so he had a great day back. I saw some of his goals. And Kieran Mullins, who I highlighted in my conference projections, he had a strong game as well. 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 ground balls. So congratulations to those 2 guys on a great opening day game. For Lafayette, my leader is Andrew Robbins. He had a hat trick for the Leopards, so good job for him against the stout Rutgers D. Lafayette plays New Jersey Institute of Technology next week. I think that's going to be a big game for both teams. Both teams are going to losing about the same, lost by about the same point disparity. I think that will be huge for Lafayette. One of those teams, they both kind of struggled recently, so we're going to see who can rebound better from both of their losses. Next game on the list, this was a little bit of a surprising one. It's Bucknell at Maryland, and Maryland ultimately took the game 11-6, but it was close for a while. I followed this game. It was only 5-3 at half. Bucknell really did a good job game planning for this one. Maryland's youth kind of struggled a little bit. I mean, the defense obviously did amazing, which Maryland's always going to have a good defense. I mean, that is such an elite defense. That's why they've been in the championship weekend so many consecutive years, and they were in the national title game 3 years in a row prior to that. So, I mean, that's really what made the difference. Bucknell's offense just couldn't score, and Maryland D kind of bailed out their offense, especially early in the game. Shots were about even. Bucknell 32, Maryland 35. Turnovers, 13 for Bucknell, but 17 for Maryland, which is a huge amount. That was one of the highest ones, I think, out of all the Division I teams. Not the highest, but pretty high up there, at least top 5. They're going to want to get that cleaned up. I mean, if at Maryland, they're expected to win the national championship every year. And 17 turnovers, it might let you slide by Bucknell, but they play Albany, I believe, teams like that, Albany, Johns Hopkins, Rutgers, playing, they'll make the NCAA, and they'll play someone like Duke. I mean, that's not going to slide when you're competing for champions. They're going to want to bring that down. Ground balls, they did take advantage of, and I think that made the difference and allowed them to tire out the Bucknell D. They won it 35-22, so good for them. My Maryland players of the game were Logan Wisnauskas, 4 goals, 1 assist, so congratulations to him. And Jared Bernhardt, who I highlighted in my Big Ten projections for Maryland, he had 2 goals, 1 assist, so he takes the reward as well. So good job for both those 2 guys. For Bucknell, Reed Myas had 2 goals, and he was the only multi-goal scorer for the Bison. Ryan Durkin, he had 1 goal and 1 assist. I think Bucknell, they're definitely going to be a team to beat in conference. They played Maryland really tough, so I hope they don't let themselves get down from kind of tough loss, but I mean, they played Maryland really well. So I think both teams are going to need to improve, but it's a pretty good opening game for both teams. So Wagner Bellarmine, that is the next game. A battle of 2 brand new coaches. I picked Bellarmine to win this game close. I was wrong. Wagner wins 7-6 in overtime, and it is a little confusing because when you look at the statistics, Bellarmine kind of dominated statistically. They won the shot battle 43-33. They won the face-offs 12-5. They won the ground balls 31-21. The only thing they were even on with the Seahawks was both teams had 16 turnovers, which is a ridiculous amount. And I don't know. I didn't see this game. I don't think it was even streamed. But maybe Bellarmine had the turnovers at worse times than Wagner. But Wagner wins, so congratulations to them. I'm glad for them. They've struggled in recent years, so it's good to see them get a really big win on the road out in Louisville. My players of the game for the Seahawks, Spencer Kaufman, he had 3 goals, a hat trick, and he had the game winner in overtime, so obviously he's going to take the top spot. Dominic Branda, he had 1 goal, so congratulations to him. obviously every goal counts, and especially in a one-goal game. And for Bellarmine, I picked Morgan Mako, 2 goals, 1 assist. He played well. I highlighted him in my SoCon projections, as well as Landon Trout, 2 goals. So both those guys did step up to play. I think Bellarmine's going to take a little bit longer with Jim Mitchell, but I think both teams had a really solid opening game. Good defensive battle. You can't blame the defenses. Offenses will need to improve a little bit when they play some better opponents, but this was a very well played, evenly matched game, and I'm sure it was very exciting for the people that witnessed it in person. Next up is North Carolina at Mercer. There was really nothing crazy about this game. North Carolina went in and dominated right away. They won 20-9. The Bears really were not up to par physically with North Carolina. ACC teams are hard to beat, especially for SoCon teams. Shots, easily North Carolina's favor, 55-35. 13 turnovers for them. Mercer had a whopping 23, which really did not help them. I think if they would have knocked that down to maybe just 12, maybe they would have lost 15-9 or something like that. Still would have lost, but 20 goals is a huge amount, and 23 turnovers is not going to help out your defense at all. Face-offs were actually even. Mercer won this, so congratulations to the Mercer Fogo on that. 17 face-offs wins for Mercer, 16 for North Carolina, so the Tar Heels are going to want to get the face-offs cleaned up. They're going to face probably better Fogos, especially in the ACC, so that is an area of concern for them. Both teams did have 38 ground balls, so good job on the ground balls by both teams. When you get 38 ground balls for your respective team, that's really good. But that's a lot of ground balls for both. So there might have been a lot of drop passes or something to have. I'm doing rough math in my head, but like 70 plus ground balls total. That's a lot. My game leaders for North Carolina, they returned a lot of their offensive output from last year. It showed. Justin Anderson, 3 goals. William Perry, 2 goals, 2 assists. And Nicky Solomon, 2 goals, 1 assist. So congratulations to those young men for a very good first game of the 2019 season. For Mercer, Will McCarthy had 3 goals. Pascal Coombs had 2. They're very good SoCon players. They stepped up today. Mercer just didn't have the horses to keep up with the race. So up next is New Jersey Institute of Technology at Lehigh. Lehigh has a lot of seniors coming back. I think if anyone can beat Loyola for the Patriot League crown, it's definitely Lehigh. They have a lot of high expectations this year. And, New Jersey Institute of Technology actually played them pretty tough. They lose 15-8 to Lehigh, so Lehigh takes it. But, the game was close for a while. They didn't have the dogs in the fight to continue to keep up with the Lehigh offensive output. And you'll see this in the shots. New Jersey Institute of Technology had 21 compared to Lehigh's 48. So, it's really hard to win when you only get 20 shots out on offense. The one positive I can think is they basically got a 33% score rate on their shot. So, they must be really accurate when they did shoot overall. Turnovers, this was killer. This could have been like a 3-goal game or a 5-goal game, but 30 turnovers, oh my god. I don't think I've ever seen a game with 30 turnovers, but the Highlanders had 30 turnovers. That is going to have to get brought down significantly. I don't know if they struggled on the clears. I didn't see a thing for the clears on their statistics site, but yeah, 30 turnovers. You're just not going to win many games, and I think that carried off from last year. They've really struggled since fielding a Division I program. I'm really cheering for the Highlanders to turn it around, but 30 turnovers you're not going to get better when you give the ball up that much. You're not going to win. Lehigh only had 13. They're going to want to bring that down a bit, but pretty good. Lehigh did cause 19 of the 30 turnovers for the Highlanders, so maybe some more credit should be given to the Lehigh defense for forcing that many turnovers. That 19 turnovers force is insane. So good job to Lehigh there. Both teams had 7-man ups opportunities, and that's way too many penalties. 14. Geez, that is a ridiculous amount. Neither athletic site showed the conversion rate on man. I don't know if both teams were really bad, and both of the departments were like, "Oh, we don't want to show that we struggle on man up," but I don't know what happened there. but still 7 opportunities. You got to convert. If they didn't, if they did, then that's great, and that's probably what allowed the Highlanders to score 8 goals. But you cannot be that undisciplined to get 7 penalties for one team. I mean, that's going to cost you games, especially if you're Lehigh. I mean, you want to beat Loyola. You got Colgate in your conference, Bucknell. I mean, that you got tough opponents. You cannot be having silly penalties. That's going to cost you in those big games if you want the NCAA bid, which I know that's on their mind. My stars for the game for Lehigh were Andrew Eichelberger, 3 goals. Congratulations. Mickey Fitzpatrick, 2 goals, 1 assist. So he had a good game as well, 3 points. For the Highlanders, I got Cole Robillard, 2 goals, 1 assist. So that's a very solid game. And Colton Johnson, he had 2 goals as well, no assists. But some Highlanders stepped up. You can tell. I think they lacked the depth to keep it close. But I noticed it was like a 3-2 goal game for a little bit, at least in the first half. So that'll sum up this game. But, I mean, I think the Highlanders have a chance to maybe get a couple more wins than they have in past. So our Saturday night game was Duke at Furman, and Duke took this game 17-9. And congratulations to John Danowski. He has now his 400th career win, which is insane. He's going to be a Hall of Fame coach for the lacrosse world. I mean, I had to scout his team last year. I mean, they ran a really simple offense. I remember in the tape they just ran a 2-3-1 middle school offense, and they run it so well that it doesn't matter. I mean, that is such a well coached team. He deserves it more than anyone. So congratulations to Coach Danowski. The attendance, I did find the attendance on this game on Duke's site, which is kind of odd, but 312 people were at the game. So, I mean, a little bummed it couldn't be higher, but thank you to all those 312 people for showing up to support either Furman or Duke. This is the way we're going to grow the games, getting more people at the games. Shots, Duke really kind of dominated, 50-32. Ground balls, 35-24 towards Duke. Duke did only go 1 for 3 on man up, so they're going to want to get a little higher than that in the bigger games when they play like Notre Dame, Syracuse, Virginia, all those guys. Furman went 0 for 3. I think Furman really struggled. It was close for a while, actually. It was pretty entertaining. But I did make a note of this on my SoCon projections. When I watched Furman in person last year, because they played Air Force last year, and I was on the sideline, I noticed their deep holes were really, really tiny. I don't know if that changed this year, but I remember looking at their legs, and they were, I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm some massive guy, but, I mean, they're like, the quad muscles were like as thick as my bicep and tricep. Like, they were so small. Like, I think that's going to cause them problems with that lack of size against these elite teams, the bigger, more physical offenses like Duke. I think that's the next step that Furman's going to have to take. But my players of the game for Duke are Joe Robertson, 4 goals, Cameron Boudar, 3 goals, CJ Carpenter, 3 goals, so I mean, very good games by all 3 of those guys. For Furman, William Holcomb, 2 goals, Carson Sorrells, 2 goals as well. Duke plays High Point this Wednesday, so that'll be exciting. I think the Bonnies of St. Bonaventure are going to maybe get some little revenge. If they do watch that game, they'll probably practice. But if they do watch that game, they'll probably enjoy watching Duke most likely win that game. But High Point will play them tough, I think. But that'll sum it up for this game. Our final D1 game of this week was Boston at Providence. And this turned out to be a really good game. Boston took it 8-7, a good defensive battle. These 2 teams were very evenly matched, I believe. Boston lost in the shots department, 38-48. They had 23 turnovers, which is ridiculous. They're going to want to bring that down if they want to compete to make the Patriot League tournament. Providence had 12, which is pretty solid for a first game of your season. Ground balls basically even. Boston 28, Providence 27. What really made the difference was my star of the game for Boston, which was Chris Gray. He had 3 goals, 1 assist. He made a few more offensive plays than the Providence guys could make. And you can't fault either defense. When you give up 8 goals as Providence, you probably should win. And Boston did win. They gave up 7, and that's why they won. They gave up 7. I mean, really good defensive play. Both offenses will have to improve. But I'll get into my stars of the game. I already said Chris Gray and his 3 goals and 1 assist. So congratulations to him. James Burr, 2 goals, 1 assist, and Jack Collins with 2 goals. So those 3 guys were really the difference makers for Boston. So congratulations to them. Those guys will probably be leaned on for the rest of the season, at least in those next few games. For Providence, I only found one. No one scored had a multi-goal game, so that's good that you could tell Providence can move the ball around and find a lot of guys that contribute. But Nick Shaw was my main guy. He had 1 goal and 2 ground balls. Good job for him. It's a shame that one of these teams had to lose. I wish they could have tied. It was such a close game. But either way, I don't think Providence should hang their head. And congratulations to Boston on a very good, impressive opening win. So we're going to get into the Division II outcomes now. The first game of the Division II lacrosse season was Montevallo hosting Westminster. Westminster won 11-10 in double overtime, so congratulations to them. We'll go through the scores from this past Saturday now. Belmont Abbey beat Tampa 13-9. Barton, a brand new Division II program, only lost by 1. Lincoln Memorial 13-14. I said this in my St. Bonaventure video, but I would say Barton had the most impressive opening game ever of all the new NCAA programs. Tusculum got creamed by Limestone 22-2. I mean, that's just straight up murder. For this Sunday, February 3rd, I watched a little bit of the Alabama-Huntsville and Westminster game. The quality was not very good, so it's kind of hard to watch, honestly. It was like at 144 pixels or something. I really couldn't tell what was going on, so I kind of stopped watching. But I did find the end of the game. Westminster wins 12-6, so good job for Westminster. 2 road games, and they come from Utah, I believe. So the fact that they went out on the road and took 2 games against pretty tough Division II opponents, I mean, that's a really good job by them. We'll have to watch out for them at the Division II level. And the final game, I don't know if this was a scrimmage, but I saw this on Twitter, and it was on Rockhurst's schedule, but they played an NAIA team. And the NAIA is pretty good, actually. There's some really good teams like Reinhardt and Cumberlands in Kentucky, but Benedictine out of Kansas, they played Rockhurst. It was just such a unfair matchup. I mean, Rockhurst wins 27-6. I actually added Rockhurst lacrosse program on Twitter and said, "Hey, murder's illegal in the United States. It's a felony." But, oh my gosh, I mean, I feel kind of bad for Benedictine. They really didn't deserve that. Benedictine, though, that's not really their slate. They're an NAIA team, so they'll improve from this. And they'll know what they need to work on now. And Rockhurst, it's really hard to tell how good Rockhurst is. They've played such an overly matched team. But, hey, when you get 27 points, I mean, that's just insane. So I'm glad a lot of guys could pad their stats. And now they can go into the rest of this season with some confidence. So there were 2 Division III games from what I was found from this weekend for the Division III slate. It mainly opens up next weekend. But this was a shock. This might have been the best game of all week that no one knows about unless you are a Salisbury fan. Salisbury beat Barry out in Georgia 9-7. Barry is a pretty newer team. And wow, only lose by 2 to Salisbury, who won the title 2 years ago and were the runner-up last year. I mean, congratulations to them. I mean, I'm going to be following Barry now. That was pretty exciting, the fact that they kept it that close. I couldn't believe that when I saw that. I mean, if you had told me before the game, I would have thought it would have been a blowout. But so it'll be fun to watch both teams, and it'll be fun to follow Salisbury. They might have struggled some. I don't know how good Barry is this year, but that's a great opener for Barry. But when you think of Salisbury playing close to Barry, it kind of sends some alarm bells in your head if you're a Salisbury fan. So it'll be interesting to follow. And the other D3 game, this was really not competitive. I almost feel bad reading the score off to you guys. Hendricks, 29, Centenary out of Louisiana, won. So just the slaughter. I mean, clearly those teams are gaps from each other in terms of talent. So great job for Hendricks. I mean, 29 goals. I mean, that's insane. So guys, that'll do it for this video, this Week 1 recap of collegiate lacrosse. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe so we can keep growing this up. So we definitely want to get the word out to help grow the game, get some good analysis. If you do think this analysis is good, it'd be nice if you could share it on Twitter or Facebook or really whatever. Tell your friends about us. You can follow me at Twitter or Instagram at the same thing, logical_lacrosse. And if you didn't know, I have a website. I just launched it. You can find it at www.logicallacrosse.com. I'm going to have plenty of written insight into all the games, and I'll be giving my predictions for week 2 and some statistics leaders. I'll try to put all those out. Obviously, High Points goalie is leading the country in saves percentage, but that'll sum up this video. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this, and let's keep growing the game.